Alrighty, welcome to the BAI show. My name's James Rankin, and today I'm joined with Kristan Johnson. And Kristan has had a pretty elaborate career and things outside of real estate as well that have really helped him grow his business the way that he wants to, and run it the way that you might not typically think a person in real estate might run their business, and things that they've come from, like an industry that they've come from before. But Kristan, thanks for joining, mate.
Hi James, how are you? Great to see you. Great to chat with you.
Absolutely. So, mate, tell me, if you were to just rewind, you got into real estate quite young, like as an investor. What prompted you to get into real estate? Like, what was the fascination early on?
I think it's the Australian dream, right? You go to school, you leave school, you get a job, you buy a house, rinse, repeat, happy days. Unfortunately, I didn't do the education piece around the property market first, and I rushed that decision, bought a property that probably wasn't the best, well, it wasn't the best investment. And I learned a lot from that and have been able to use those skills to then double down and get better for future purchases.
Yeah, and was there anything like outside of the Australian dream? Like, was there family influences? Was there like maybe where you grew up, like you saw other people get involved in real estate, or you just said, "No, this is a thing. Like friends talk about it. I'm gonna jump in."
So I was only 23, so none of my friends had bought a property. I was probably the first one of my friends to buy a property. I have always had an inkling to be like I wanted to do more and I wanted to be successful for whatever that means. So I left school and got a job nursing. So I was working as a mental health nurse for many years, and that's when I bought that first property. It was just reading books. They kind of said that that was an investment vehicle that you could use. I didn't use that terminology back then, but I kind of just knew that buying property was something that should become a long-term investment.
Got it. Yeah, and that makes sense. And a lot of those industries, teachers, nursing, industries where you've got a really fixed income, like and a ceiling income, there are quite a few people that go out and look for alternatives. Like, how I like the industry I'm in, I get it, its purpose, or the purpose that I'm doing, but how do I actually make some money and create wealth, financial security, all of those things. So I think it's quite common, but that like mental health, like nursing, would have been a lot like to sort of go through. And I know you've adapted that into your BA business, right? So what have you learned from like human psychology, and how have you integrated that into your BA business?
To be honest, I think it's my superpower. I think coming into real estate at age 35, 36, 37, something around there, I have had so much life experience that wasn't real estate related. So that now when I come into the buy side and I'm helping buyers, I don't have that think of real estate. I don't come off like a salesperson. I don't have the process that a typical real estate agent would try to force a buyer through. So I come in understanding the emotional side and use that emotional intelligence piece to make sure and help them modulate their emotions throughout the journey. There's going to be some highs, there's going to be some really, really lows, but by having that mental health background, I can really help hold their hand and say, listen, we've just lost at auction. Let's go look at this property tomorrow and see what else is out there. It's not the end. Let's just keep going. So I think that's really important to hold their hand throughout that journey.
100%. And that's definitely something we learn when we're working with clients. You know what I mean? Like, it's a massive purchase. Doesn't matter if it's 300,000 or 300 million. Like, it doesn't really matter. It's still a lot of money. And 300,000 is probably non-existent these days, but it's still a ton of money. You know what I mean? Like, to go and earn that, it's a lot of graft that you got to do. So managing those emotions, as you said, I think it is a superpower, like an absolute superpower. Have you done anything in your business, or is it more just like you're running at your feel, like you're speaking to clients, understanding where they're at, and then you're guiding them through that? But have you implemented any of that into your company, like Johnson Property Co? Like, have you integrated that philosophy into it? Like how you onboard, the process that you're discussing with clients throughout the purchase?
I think I think it's ingrained in everything I do. Really, everything I do is about their. I really care about my clients, and we all do, but I really care about them getting the best result and understanding that they will take some knocks and it's going to be an emotional journey is really important. And I think setting that up front and really explaining that it's not all rainbows and lollipops. There will be some downtime, but I'm here to make sure that you can understand that and we keep moving forward.
Yeah, that's it. Because you can imagine, and you're predominantly owner occ, right? Like, I know you've done some investment stuff, but yeah, this would, I mean, it can come in to play with investors as well, but owner occs tend to feel that emotion. And if they miss out at auction, it's kind of like you got to pick the pieces up, right?
Yeah, yeah, and you have to be willing to keep going. We had a client that had been looking for 3 years before starting working with us, which is a long time in itself. They missed an auction in November. They were like, listen, we're going to rest until the new year. And I was like, listen, I've got another property that I want you to look at. We ended up missing out on that one. And then they were like, Kristan, we're done. And I was like, listen, I've got one more property. Let's go and have a look at it. And they ended up buying it 2 days before Christmas. So I think if they had let themselves just sit on their laurels, they would have been still looking now. We were able to get them something end of the year, and they were settling at the end of January. So it just goes to show that having someone there that can hold your hand and say, "Listen, I know you feel crappy right now, but let's just keep going. Let's put one foot in front of the other." So that's really, really important.
Yeah, and that's classic case, like 3 years for someone to go through that emotional roller coaster. They go out, they start looking, or they get their finance right, and all of that's super nerve wracking. They then go out into the world of real estate. They realize they want to, let's just say it's $2 million house, and they've only got 1.5 mil to spend. They fall in love with that. They miss out. They go again, or it takes them like 3 months to sort of pick up the pieces. Their pre-approval has lapsed. They've got to start again. It's just never ending. Like, I have seen it multiple times. And
Mhm.
that's the classic case of what you just said. They need that little bit of help, that bit of guidance, and then bang, they were ready to buy. They probably weren't ready like 12 months ago. That 2 years probably took them time to understand the market. And then you've gotten them right at that crucial point where they were going to go, I'm buying or I'm never buying, like it's
Yep.
make or break now. So yeah,
Totally. Yeah,
amazing,
yeah.
amazing. Um, Mate, every entrepreneur goes through, and faces early challenges. What were some of the initial hurdles that you had in your BA journey?
I think the initial one would probably be around coming into real estate from a standstill. Is it from going from 0 to 1 is the hardest. So getting that first client on board was the hardest. You see people that have got a real estate background or have got a background in the industry, they can leverage connections. I think for me, coming in without a real estate background, I had to really work really hard on developing those, being super present at every auction possible, every open house that was in the area. I'd go to rentals, I'd go to anything just so that my face was out there and start to really build exposure. And it took probably 4 months of sort of banging my head against the brick wall before I actually started to get that first glimmer of momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, as you said, the first client is always the hardest. Like to get that across the line. How many months in were you like banging your head against the brick wall before you got, was it 4 months like to sign up your first client?
Yeah, 4 months to get the first client, and then I think it was like 3rd of May, 2022. They went. They settled on their property. Oh no, they went yeah, they settled. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. It's always, you always remember the dates, hey, like of those
Hmm.
special moments.
The first ones.
Uh, yeah, the first one's right. But yeah, that's normal. Like honestly, that's pretty normal. 4 months, like 3 months. I know people get first week and first day, like in the job, but yeah, realistically, if you're coming from an industry that has no relation to real estate and you're actually training yourself you've gone through the program, understanding this new thing and this new concept, to having conversations, because you can go out to an open home and you'll stuff multiple conversations up at the beginning, right? Like you might say the wrong thing, or you might not come across, or you might just sort of go under the covers a little bit, like kind of want to fly under the radar just to suss things out. And yeah, it takes time to build that. And you've still got to generate an income, right? Because did you do this as a bit of a side hustle at the start?
Yeah, I started whilst still running a marketing agency, and I've continued to run both of those for majority of the time. Uh, but yeah, it just takes time to build that momentum. But after getting that first one, within a week of that one settling, the next one was on, and then from there I had two or three, and I've maintained at least three clients on the books at all times since then.
So good. And fast forward, like this financial year, I know I've had a closer connection to you over the last 6 to 12 months, not only meeting you at the Sydney events multiple times and saying, hey, come over to Everest, like I reckon it'd be really good for you, and then you jumping on board, seeing you like really steamroll it, man. Like honestly, you just steamrolled it. Like when you jumped into here, you just went for it, and that was evident. Like you had a monster year last year, right? Like in terms of purchase volume was quite incredible. So how was,
Yeah,
like, out of those, I guess, was there anyone that stood out in particular, like a transaction out of that, yeah, that number of purchases?
the one that, so that client that was looking to stop just before Christmas, so I caught up with them, literally caught up with them for lunch last Friday, just to say congratulations. And they did it. So they settled at the end of January. They did a bank val, and they were up 10.7% already. Like, so not only did they get a property that they probably wouldn't have got without us, they they have made 10% in equity in what, 5 months. So yeah, like that's special. That's life changing stuff, right? That's an extra nearly 200 grand in their pocket. So yeah, yeah, that to me is probably one of the special ones. But every client that we help, every hug that we get, every handshake that you get is special, right?
Good answer. Good answer.
I'm
Especially if
gonna I'm
anyone.
gonna I'm going to go like this sounds very, very cliche, but I feel like I've done a lot of things in my life and I've helped a lot of people in different facets, but I really feel like I found my purpose. And now I know, like the Simon Sinek bit, start with why. I now know what my why is, and that's helping people achieve the dream of home ownership.
100%. Like, yeah, if you honestly believe that and your core root, like we do talk about that why quite a lot, because the industry is growing. It's your differentiator. You know what I mean? Like what makes Kristan different to every other buyer's agent out there, and your purpose and your emotion and involvement and the way that you want your clients to succeed. That's what really shines through. Like I can see it. And I'm sure people that are looking to engage you will see it as well. And that really sort of moves into the next question, which is that little um, silver piece that you've got behind you. So when you initially filled out our podcast form, you mentioned that you were a finalist, and now you're actually a winner of that thing, which is pretty amazing.
I think anyone that wins an award says that was not, they were surprised to win. But honestly, coming up, there was a number of big names in the running. So to be able to end up being the winning an award at any time is great, but winning an award in your local area for the thing that you find gives you purpose, I mean, that's like, yeah, it's amazing. Like
Yeah,
such an
rewarding.
achievement to feel like, yeah, exactly. Like I feel like all the hard work for that first 4 months trying to get that first deal, and then all of the work over the last 18 months to build momentum and continue to deliver value to the marketplace is paid off. And I only want to do more. And it's inspired me to work harder to hopefully deliver more for more people over the next 12, 24, 46 months.
So good. Yeah, I love that. Um, like our industry can probably throw some people off. Maybe they put us in the same bucket as like car salesmen and solicitors and lawyers and all of that kind of stuff, like ethical practice. Is there anything that you do in your business that makes you exceed those ethics?
I have this conversation a lot with buyers agents, and we can't change the fact that the industry as a whole has bad actors. And I think there's bad actors in any industry. What we can do, though, is that we as individuals can be a pillar of positive action and positive light so that it radiates from us. So if we're doing the right thing and we're pulling up people that are trying to do the wrong thing, or maybe just making them aware that that's not right, all that can do is leave our sort of stamp on the industry. And if more or enough of us do it, the industry as a whole will continue to get better.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, right? Like if you get locked into that perspective, and we kind of do, like, not get locked into the perspective of traditional real estate, but we try to separate ourselves, right? Like we really try to segregate ourselves to go, there's no way I want to do sales. Like I really love real estate, but I could just never see myself doing sales. So we do attract a different profile of person, right? Like in this industry, yes, there's going to be the crossover real estate agents getting involved in this, but ultimately it's people who really have a passion for property. And you can create the narrative as you said, right?
Yeah, and I also do like to jump in, and it's a great point. But I'd say 95, 99% of the real estate agents out there that you interact with are trying to do the right thing. I know that there's again a few bad actors, but most of the people that I work with and transact with are good people trying to do the right thing for their client. And unfortunately, just because you miss out on buying a property doesn't mean that the agent did you wrong. That's just the way the market works, and that's just a free market. So I think trying to change the narrative a little bit around that as well, because just because an agent sells a property to someone else and you didn't have enough money to buy it doesn't mean that they were ethically not acting in their best interests either. So
well, this
something to just
totally
yeah.
raises the point of why a buyer's agent is there, because the real estate agent is there to protect their vendor. So they are actually legally obligated to get the highest price. If they sold it to you at the lower price, knowing that there's more money over here, that would be unethical on them. So yeah, their fiduciary responsibility is to take that higher offer, is to seek a higher offer. But exactly why a buyer's agent should exist in all those transactions, right? Like we know it, but that is again the marketplace, or the placement of buyer's agents in that market is sort of changing the perspective, and it's leveling the playing field. So yeah, I'm pumped to be a part of it, much like you are.
Yeah,
April
it's super
this
important.
year, yeah, April this year was a big year for you. Don't know if that's changed. Like April, we've had May and June. Don't know if that's changed since then. But can you just walk us through what led to that success, and like how do you plan to like keep that momentum going? I know we're a couple of months later now, but yeah, obviously just keeping that momentum going through your business.
One of the things, and I'm not sure who said it originally, but you're only as good as your last sale in our industry, your last buy. So if you don't continue to because we can all go and get some success and then go, all right, I'm going to go sit on the beach and relax. That won't work, because if you're not continuing to generate new business and you're continuing to push forward and put yourself into the market, I feel like it's really hard to be successful. Look at the top players in any industry, and they're constantly looking for new customers or new ways to engage with potential customers. So for us and for me, it's really about maintaining my energy and maintaining my presence in the marketplace so that I can continue to help more people. If I'm not getting more potential prospects into the pipeline, for lack of a better phrase, I'm not going to be able to help enough people, and I'm not going to be able to hit the targets that I want to grow at.
Yeah, it's a good frame. Like 100%, that's a good frame, because you have a good service, much like what we were just talking about. Like that there's a need for it out there. Not selling them a product or into a product, you're actually selling them something or getting them involved in something that they need, and you truly believe in it. And that's why, yeah, this business, you've broken through the barrier of like first clients. getting some momentum, but it's why your business will succeed. Like it just will, because the belief's there. And in terms of, we have a lot of people listen to the podcast and listen to the show that are thinking about getting into the industry. Are there any pointers that you'd want to, let them know if this was a field that they wanted to get into and change careers? Yeah, what advice would you give them to help navigate that and succeed in the industry?
Yeah, good question. I think there's a couple. So the first one would be that if you're going to do it, run at it 100%. I think that whilst you can make it a decent little side hustle, I think if you actually want to make a career out of this, you have to give it everything. And real estate isn't a 9 to 5 kind of job. Unfortunately, there's times where you'll be on the phone at 9 o'clock at night. You'll be working most Saturdays. So you're just going to have to be open to the fact that it's going to become somewhat all consuming. But if you could give it all, it's really rewarding as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing about our industry is the ability to earn very good money. The worth of the business is it's a sales business. Like ultimately, like you're the front of it. So in terms of like building a business or an app, for instance, that you could just sell, very, very different business model, but it allows us to go and buy assets. You know what I mean? Like you can rip that margin out, you can rip that high profit income and put it into assets. And that's what allows you to create, financial freedom. Mate, looking ahead, you've established, a track record. You're growing your influence on Instagram, which is amazing. What are the next big goals for Johnson Property Co?
Initially, will be to bring on team. I don't see Johnson Property Co being a one-man band for long. I feel like there's so much more impact that I can have if I can help other buyers agents to help more clients under the Johnson Property Co brand. So for me, over the next 12 months, it's really developing that pipeline to be able to bring on really good people. They might be new in the business and work in an associate role, or they might be existing buyers agents that want the facilities of what our brand can bring, and leveraging that to help more people buy in the inner west, and then to expand potentially into other parts of Sydney as well.
Mate, absolutely love it and can't wait to, be along for the journey, but see you in a year's time, 2 years' time, and what that really looks like. Because, yeah, I think you've established a great philosophy and a really good base for anyone that wants to join and like come along with you on that journey. But, mate, really enjoyed chatting to you. Thanks for taking the time to come on. Yeah, and I look forward to our next chat.
Thanks so much, James. I appreciate your time and all the support that you give through the Everest program.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. Chat to you soon.
Thank you. Bye, Mal. Bye bye.